All right, so I've been playing a ton of Diablo 4 on my Steam Deck, and these are the best settings that I've found for getting good visual quality while still getting 40 frames per second, pretty much locked all the time. Let's get into it. All right, we're gonna go over the settings real quick. Then after that, I'm going to unplug, and then we can see what kind of battery life we should be expecting with these settings. First, let's just check what the settings are. Okay, we'll go over these one by one so you can follow along if you're changing them on yours. Windowed full screen, we can't change any of that. We're at the native resolution. Sharpen images at 10. Font scaling, I moved to large. This doesn't affect performance, but it's just easier on my eyes. Cursor scaling, I left on medium. Doesn't really matter if you're using a controller, which I am. HDR you leave off. Vertical sync you can turn on. Limit cutscene FPS none of these really matter to us. Now we get to the parts that matter. Resolution percentage we leave at 100. Fidelity FX super resolution we're leaving off. You don't have to touch those. Okay, now we get into the settings. For texture quality, we have high. For anisotropic filtering, we have 8x. For shadow quality, we have medium. I do leave this on high sometimes, but I found it has a pretty significant effect on the frame rate. So try this on high, and if you're struggling to get 40 FPS in the busier scenes, then I would drop it down to medium, and that's what I did. Dynamic shadows are on. Soft shadows are on. Shader quality, we have at high. SSAO, we have at medium. Fog quality, we have at medium. Clutter quality, we have at highest. For quality level, high. Water simulation quality, high. Anti-aliasing quality, high. Geometric complexity, high. Terrain geometry detail, high. Physics quality, high. Particles quality, medium. Reflection quality, high. Screen space reflections on. Distortion is checked and low FX is off. So those are the settings. And two of the settings that I would say you can toggle higher or lower depending on what kind of frame rate or battery life you're targeting is shadow quality is a really good one to mess with, and also clutter quality. Those are two of them where if you turn those down, you'll get significantly better performance, but they also make a big difference as far as visual quality. So I leave them on medium and highest, but again, if you're not getting 40 FPS, try turning those down first. Okay, so those are the settings. Now let's do some gameplay, and while we're doing gameplay, now I'm gonna unplug so we can see just what kind of battery life we should be expecting while we're playing. So as you can see, I'm gonna try not to have any spoilers for the game itself, so we'll just go fight some little mobs and we won't get up to too much. But right there, you can see our wattage we're pulling is about 22 watts. as you can see, while yes, it's not a totally locked 40 FPS, it stays, if it doesn't stay at 40, it pretty much stays in the high 30s. And I don't find it that noticeable when I'm playing. As soon as I turn off the FPS counter, I pretty much don't notice the dips down to as low as like maybe 35. So I call this a huge win. And visually on this 7-inch screen, I think it looks fantastic. I'm kind of blown away that the Steam Deck is actually able to perform this well. One caveat I will say that I've found though is when you're in big towns, like I think it's called like Kiobashad or something. It's one of the bigger towns. You do get a lower frame rate, and I would say it usually hangs in the low 30s. And so if that's something that's going to bother you, then again, you can lower those settings we talked about earlier. That's an easy way to start. But I found that actually, well, of course I would like a higher frame rate in town. It's not that big of a deal for me to have a low frame rate in town because you're usually not fighting in town, or no, you're never fighting in town. So it works for me. I'm not saying it's good for everybody, but it works for me. So, oh, there we got a little depth. But yeah, I would say if you want to play Diablo 4 on your Steam Deck, this is an awesome way to do it. Just a really, really visually impressive way, because we're running on mostly highs, again, on a handheld, unplugged. And now now that we've been playing for a little bit, let's check out our battery. We can see we're draining 24, 25 watts at times. And let's see how long it thinks it'll get. Based on my testing at that wattage, I would be expecting somewhere around an hour to an hour and a half. So let's see what the Steam Deck thinks after I beat these guys. All right, let's get out of here. Okay, now let's just see what kind of battery life Steam Deck thinks we're gonna get. And there you go, we're at 80% projected battery life, an hour and 18 minutes. So, and I would say that's maybe a little generous. So I would say probably expect at a full battery life to get maybe an hour and a half. We're at 80%, so a little less. But yeah, these settings with the Steam Deck screen look absolutely phenomenal in my opinion. They look really good. Now I have tried plugging it up to my external monitor, and it definitely doesn't look as good because we're running this at basically 720p. But as long as it's on the Steam Deck screen, it looks really, really good. So if you're looking for optimized Steam Deck settings, this is what I've found to be best. If you have something that you like to do differently, let me know in the comment section below. And let me know how your experience is with these Steam Deck settings. I should also note that I am using Cryo Utilities, which is a way to undervolt and change the VRAM buffer, I believe, to get slightly better performance. So if you're not getting quite as good as me, let me know in the comment section below, and then we can talk about Cryo Utilities and stuff like that just to eke out a little bit more performance. But yeah, the Steam Deck running Diablo 4, it's awesome. It's a really good experience. All right, if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.